The Lui Diaz Podcast.
There we go. Now I'm nailing it.
The Lui Diaz Podcast.
Oh, shit. I've still got Alex's thing written there.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
Look, you know what I'll do? I'll just use our clap from our episode 48. That's supposed to say your name on it, but see, that's the one thing I missed. But if I'm just missing that, then it's not too bad.
Yeah, no one knows who I am. It doesn't matter.
Tom Stanimeros.
That's the one.
Do I pronounce that right? I always...
Yeah, you nailed it.
So,
Some people overthink it.
Yeah, I overthink a lot these days. I overthink everything, really. I was listening to our last episode together this morning.
Were you? That's
Yeah.
such a commitment. You had to spend an hour and a half with me before spending an hour and a half with me.
I know. Yeah, I regret it. You know, when the moment I regretted it, it stopped playing about 15 minutes ago, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm literally about to sit down with this guy again."
Well, I'm glad we could catch this moment together, Louis. I always enjoy our chats.
Yeah, no, our last chat was great. Let me just turn me up a little bit because I think I'm a bit low. Okay, so our last chat was episode 48, and at the beginning of the episode, I was running you through some stuff. At the time, I had 23 5-star reviews on Spotify. Now I've got 31.
That's what's up. That's growth, baby.
That is growth.
Relatable growth.
I said I had about 70 subscribers on YouTube, and now I've got 208.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's a fucking pop, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's
That's
great.
awesome.
It's nice. So I kind of love reflecting on that because it's like, oh, you know, it's not in every episode where I'll tell you how many what I've got, but it just happens that in our episode I did. So I was like, oh, cool. How many have I got now?
Yeah,
Because that was only 7 months ago. 7, 8.
Was that 7
Close
months
to
ago?
8 months ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
crazy.
I know. It's gone so quick.
So quick. Nothing's
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, yeah. so as a tribute to basically, like everyone that's followed along, I just want to say to my new audience, thank you for following along. Hey, if you're new here, please subscribe, please like, please follow the podcast. This is a great journey I'm on. I'm loving talking to people like Tom and a bunch of Tom's friends and a bunch of other randos that are doing cool and special things. And some of them aren't even doing cool and special things. They're just living. They're living life and they're telling great stories about it. So I really appreciate my audience being here. I'm on YouTube and Spotify. They're my main channels. If you can drop me a like or a comment. I need more comments. This is what I was telling you last time.
Engagement, baby. Engagement.
Yes. Last time I was telling you I need more comments, and I'll take a hater. I'm glad to tell you I've had my first hater.
Oh, did you?
But I'm having
What
heaps
did
more
they
comments
say?
now.
What did the hater say?
I can't remember. Just something like
you're just blocking out the negative
You
energy.
just think, yeah, you just who do you think you are doing a podcast or whatever the fuck he said. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree with that.
yeah, exactly. Well, I agree with it too. That's the thing. I was like,
I'm sorry I commented it, but
oh, did you? That was you.
no, it wasn't.
That was you. Funny enough, that was on our episode. But yeah, look.
I love this podcast. I love the idea of this podcast, street podcast.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. I love what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. You've been like that. Actually, you said that in the first episode.
Did I?
Yep, you said I love it. I can actually tell you word for word everything you said in the first episode.
Let's just repeat that episode, shall we?
Actually, that's what.
Actually, why don't we just play it into the mic?
That's what we'll do. You and I will wave to all the people passing by. Well, they'll listen to us playing.
Like a director's commentary on our previous episode.
Yes. I took some notes actually while I was listening to it, and I remember I still don't have a sponsor. Last time I was talking about getting a sponsor.
Yeah.
Still don't have
Yeah.
one.
Coffee sponsor.
Yeah, I thought coffee could sponsor me, but I mean, if you've got any other ideas on where I could go with that, I'm all ears. I've just been busy producing, to be honest, just building up a catalog, a backlog, or whatever you call it. I haven't really been focused on commercialization, I suppose, but I do want to do this for a living someday.
Yeah. Well, you're going the right way about it, man.
Yeah,
I
Appreciate that.
build your audience, and they will come.
need probably a bit more than 208 subs.
Yeah, for a sponsor.
210 at least. 210. Genuine intent at least. Oh yeah, I do. That's what I wanted to say. So I wouldn't shut up about your whole vlogging thing. I was listening to the
Yeah.
episode and I was like, dude, why are you just drop it, man? I was saying that about myself to myself. I was like, why do you keep pestering him about this whole vlogging thing? I was really passionate about your vlogs, as they were called,
Yeah.
your Vietnam trip, and I was like, man, you should keep doing that. And I think I must have said it like 10 times. And then eventually I was like, hey, why don't you do comedy room vlogs? And you were like, nah. I don't think the people would like that. I probably wouldn't be invited back, whatever. And then like 4 months later, there you go.
I did. Okay, so we started with the Vietnam vlogs where I was motorbiking up Vietnam, and I was just documenting my days, and they were fun little kind of 1-minute videos of a whole day of motorbiking through Vietnam, highlights. And you said I should do that for the gigs, the comedy gigs that I do around Melbourne, and I did do that. I did it for 4 different episodes, you'd call them, or reels. You know what I learned? I didn't know how to do the first one, so I just filmed my whole experience at this mic, and I literally walked in and said hi to the guy who runs the room, Zach James. I don't know if you've had him on.
No, I haven't.
But and Zach was like, "Are you filming me, dude?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm doing this video. Can I just ask you a couple of questions about comedy?" And it was just the most awkward start. And then I kind of, like, my mate showed up, Caleb showed up, and I was like, Caleb, can I take you outside and just ask you some questions? And that's kind of where I got rolling with it.
That's funny. You should
It's really hard, though. It's hard to think about, because I go to these gigs to work on my material, and now I'm at these gigs trying to work out my material, but I'm also trying to capture as much as I can for a video. And what I realized was those 2 things were, like, in contention with each other, and I wasn't doing a good enough set because I was too worried about the video, or the video didn't have enough footage to make a full video because I was too worried about my set. And I think I just realized it's too much.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I tried it.
Yeah, I was talking about this on an episode recently. I can't remember which episode it was, but it was like, so I met this guy, right? And he became really big, and now he's full-time content creator. But his thing was that he decided to do this, I don't know what they call it, but they're ultra hikes, like 6-month hike. And he'll hike across, like walk across America or something like that, or a big part of America, like through some national parks or something. He spent 6 months doing this thing, and he did a vlog for it every single day. And I'm like, dude, how do you hike every day, like 50 kilometers, and do a vlog at the same time? How do you have the motor skills? How do you have,
It's a lot.
the commitment every single day? And he said, oh, that was during COVID or something like that. So he chucked it on TikTok and it really blew up because people were loving it. And now it's sort of paid off. But I'm like, man, that's a hardcore commitment. Like, if that's what you've got to do, I don't know how people. Yeah, I know why only so many people sort of get there, succeed, or make that happen. Because, like, to do the thing that you're doing and to be recording it and trying to tell the story about it at the same time, it's like they're 2 different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, which one are you present in most? It's requiring a split presence.
It does. I think it kind of helps when one of those things aren't creative. Because I've got 2 creative. When I went and did that, I was like, my creative brain was like, I'm worrying about the creative side of comedy, and I'm also worrying about the creative side of this video. Yeah, those were split. I'd say in Vietnam, when I was recording and I was going through on the bike, I was like, oh, I'm enjoying just riding this motorcycle and capturing these moments. Yeah. And my creative brain was like, oh, that would be good for the video. That would be good for the video, whilst also just enjoying motorbiking. And those 2 things weren't in contention.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. But I mean, overall, like, if you were doing the vlogs, just doing the comedy vlogs, I think that you got a great response from those, and it looked like you were having fun. But obviously, it's a lot to manage.
Yeah.
Like, were you having fun? Because they looked great. I think you got a great response.
I enjoyed, like, the first couple,
Yeah.
and then it became a chore.
Yeah.
And I think when it became a chore, I was like, these won't be as good.
Yeah,
but
I can relate to
you know,
that.
it's nice to know that I can do it, and I'll work something out later down the line.
Yeah.
I think I just want to worry about comedy right now,
No.
getting funny.
I think you do. Yeah, well, yeah, I think you should worry about that. Dude, it's funny. Like, I don't know. We've already started, but I feel like we just sort of went straight into it. And I'm kind of conscious that we haven't sort of reintroduced you.
Yes.
And why are we back here?
Why are
You were
we
like,
back
should
here?
we do it again? I saw you on that tram, and I said we should do this again.
We should do this again, and we are. I'm moving to the UK.
Yeah.
Oh, who am I? Reintroduce me. I'm at the moment no one.
Yeah. Leave it there.
But I'll tell you,
What episode is this? 69.
69.
This is episode 69.
I love that.
Yeah. With no one. Yeah.
My 13-year-old brain's like, kill.
Yeah. all your very first email addresses are coming back in.
Soiss. Oui, voulez-vous?
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a comedian.
Yeah.
I've been living in Melbourne for the last 2 years trying to be a comedian, and now I'm moving back to the UK, to a new city that I've never lived in before.
What city?
Manchester.
What do they call that? Oh, no.
Mank.
Mank. Okay.
And because I'm
Manchester.
leaving, I wanted to
Oasis.
have another chat with you
Yeah.
before I left.
Yeah, well, this can be like your bon voyage.
Yes, this is my Bon Voyage episode.
Oh, bro. So what's it been? Like 2 years. That's gone rather quick. And you started comedy in Australia.
Yeah,
and we
so
covered-
2.5 years. I've been here 2.5 years. I've been doing comedy for 2.
Yep.
I think those are the stats.
Yep. And so, what happened? Take us back. You had a motorbike accident. To recap, you got into a motorbike accident back home. That sort of gave you this kind of appreciation that life's maybe short and maybe you should do something else and do something a bit more, I don't know,
Yep.
fulfilling. Came to Australia because you got your dad's citizenship.
Got an Australian citizenship.
And it was a bit of a risk coming here. You didn't know, did you know what you were going to do?
No idea.
Right.
I was working in film, and I knew I didn't want to do that.
Okay. Process of elimination.
Yeah.
That's how I live. That's my whole life.
Yeah.
I just go, don't like that. Don't like that. Won't be doing that.
Yeah.
Not
And
handsome enough to do that. Not talented
We've all tried to be a
enough
model.
to do that. But yeah, okay. And then 2 years. What have you done in this time?
Well, it's really weird because I'm kind of looking back now as this sort of, I kind of closed the chapter on Australia, and I think
Really, you reckon this is goodbye for good?
it's definitely the end of a kind of segment of my life
Right.
where I was living in Melbourne.
Yeah.
If I come back, that'll be the opening of a new one.
Yeah, sure.
But
Okay.
this definitely feels like I'm going to try and commit to Manchester for a bit. I'm
Yeah.
going to see what the comedy scene's like over there.
Yeah.
But looking back, I didn't realize how lost I was when I first arrived in Australia.
That's what you said in our first step. Do you remember that? You were like, I was really lost. And I was like, wait, geographically? Do you remember that? Yeah.
Yes, so I arrived in Australia. I didn't really realize kind of where I was at mentally. I just knew that I didn't want to be in the UK right now.
Yeah.
I think there were a lot of conversations happening with my mum and my dad just being like, I don't want to feel like I'm running away from the UK. I want to feel like I'm going towards something
Yeah,
than
okay.
away from something. But
I love that.
at the end of the day, as I look back, I think I really was just running away.
Yeah, sure.
And I think that's okay. And I think if you've got
Yeah,
kind of
I think so.
access to something that you can kind of run
A passport?
towards exactly another country,
Yep.
into the warm embrace of family overseas.
Oh, that's right. You've got an aunt that lives here. Brisbane
Mhm.
Lions fan.
And I think it's almost like every segment of Australia has now been chopped up.
Yeah.
Whereas like life doesn't work in chapters.
Yes, it does.
Or
What do you
scenes.
mean?
It doesn't until you look back. But when you're like living in it, you're like, I don't know what chapter this is. I know that I'm at the end of a chapter, so you kind of know when you're at the end of one or at the start of one. But when you're right dead center in the middle of one, you're like, I don't know what this era of my life is. Until you look back and you go, oh, that was that.
That was that phase.
And now that I'm leaving, I'm like, oh, that was my Australia phase. That was my, living in Hawthorne phase, living near the city, doing gigs around Melbourne phase.
Yeah. When you leaving?
Next month.
Right, in May.
Yeah.
And do you have a Southern Cross tattoo yet somewhere where you can sort of, go home with a souvenir from Australia?
Southern Cross?
Yeah.
What's that?
All right, so it's customary for all British people that visit Australia and live here for at least 2 years to go back to England with a Southern Cross, like the Southern Cross from the flag, the Australian flag, the stars.
Oh, is that what that is?
On their neck.
Yeah, on my neck.
Yeah, and now the Tattoo Expo is on today.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's on at the showgrounds.
And you can get tattoos.
You can just get a tattoo there. And if you're not busy after the recording, maybe we could go and get matching Southern Cross tattoos together.
I do want another tattoo, but I
noticed the one on your arm.
Oh,
and
dear.
I like it.
I don't like it.
No, you don't like little strangly Bart Simpson?
No.
Just cover it with more shit then.
I will. I
like it.
You do like it?
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know if they can see that. I got it because it was cheap. And what the guy's doing is, the tattoo artist, he's got 12 of these and he's going to turn them into like a little animation. Right. Which I just thought was a really cool idea.
That is cool.
I just wanted like a little Bart Simpson. And he was like, no, it has to be this big. And I was like, I don't know where to put it. I should have put it on my leg. And now it's in the middle of my arm.
It's fine.
We'll work it out.
No regrets.
No regrets. I think when I have more tattoos, I will not think about it.
Yeah.
But when you have so few and it's the main event on your arm, draws a lot of attention to something that doesn't need attention.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I get it. All right. Well, yeah. The offer's there if you want a Southern Cross tattoo after.
Thanks.
Yeah. So you're leaving in May, and it's the end of your Australia chapter.
Yes.
And so you were lost mentally, maybe emotionally lost, definitely not physically lost. We covered that. You knew where you were. But I reckon, if someone was to do 2 years somewhere else, they would either find something or realize what they were running away from. It sounds like maybe you've done both of those.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a cliche when people go, oh, I'm going to move away. I'm going to go and find myself. And it's a well-known punchline now.
Yeah.
But I think in moving away, you do understand yourself outside of your context. And
I like that.
You start to kind of understand the sort of people that you attract and the sort of, person you are day to day without any of the comforts of what you the context of that, what you grow up in. It's hard to reflect and kind of work out what I have discovered. I think
maybe that comes in hindsight as well.
Yeah, maybe I'll get to the UK and go, oh, I'm gay.
Okay.
No, I've done uni. It's not.
That's why you didn't have an adverse reaction to my unwanted sexual advances in the last episode.
None at all.
Yeah.
Actually,
you welcomed them.
If anything, well, that's what Australia does to you, baby.
Gayifies you.
No, so I think I'm certain I don't want to go back to film. I don't think that was a certain decision when I first arrived here. I think I was like, that's just on hold. I think definitely I don't want to go back to film. I don't think that's for me. I would like to try and explore comedy. I'd like to give it a real good go. And I think the UK scene is somewhere that I can really explore that in somewhere where that you can actually kind of progress and you can hopefully make a little something of something. But in Melbourne, it's like there's that ceiling that we've talked about previously. And
we did.
you know, still taking life by the balls and going, this is what I want to do. I'm going to give it a good crack. I think if it was about lifestyle, I'd rather be in Australia. If it's about, but because it's about comedy, I'm moving. Like, I love Australia. I love Melbourne. I've made some awesome friends here. I'm very sad to leave, but you know, you just kind of, you got to give it a go.
100%. I really admire that. You know, when you know that something that you know fills you up, fulfills you, and calls you, requires more attention in your life or requires more commitment, and you've got to take a risk and make sacrifices in order to do that. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
You know, at the same time, you are kind of going home as well, and so it's not all fraught with sacrifice. But yeah, I get what you mean. It's a
in
nice
a certain
place. We live in
sense,
a nice
I
city.
am going home in terms of my country, but I've never lived in Manchester. Yeah.
What do you
so
know about the comedy scene there then? Like, do you know anything about it? Or?
I've spoken to enough comedians
Yeah.
to feel confident that giving it a go is going to be worth my time.
Yeah. Cool.
But I don't know any specifics. I'll find out when I get there.
But did you call these people up? Did you call them up?
No. The comedy scene is very kind of like, it's a massive spider web. Everything's very kind of interconnected.
Right.
And so people who've been there or are from there, I have bumped into and had enough chats.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah, okay, cool. No, I'm like, fuck. You've chosen a random city. It's very random.
Yeah, it is random. My brother lives there.
Worst airport in the world, I reckon.
Oh, really? I'm not
Yeah.
flying in there. It's fine. But my older brother lives there.
Yeah.
And he was just like, you can come be my flatmate.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, awesome.
Okay.
I'd love to. I think there's something quite daunting about moving back to the UK as a 26-year-old, that you're just going to find yourself at your parents' place.
For sure.
And I didn't
Can't relate, but yeah, I can imagine.
Well, I don't have a stable job here. I don't have a stable job there. And so I wanted to move back to the UK without having to do that. And so this kind of came up, and I was like, oh, perfect opportunity to explore a new city and not find myself at my parents' place.
I want to ask, like, what is the highlight of your time here in Australia then, that you can reflect on and go, oh yeah, 1, 2, or 3 real special moments or things that happened here that you're like, fuck yeah. And they don't have to be deep and meaningful, but they can be if you want. Do you have any, like, oh yeah, I'll never forget that? It's all right. I formatted the SD card so you can think for as long as you like. Joking.
Some highlights.
Didn't think we were that bad.
I think there are so many different highlights in so many different ways. Because I was born in Melbourne.
I didn't realise. Maybe we talked about that.
Maybe I was born in Aspendale.
Oh, that's right. We did. Yeah.
And so I've always felt a connection to this city, but a kind of an unwarranted connection, maybe, just because I was born here. I was the only one of my siblings who was born here, and I was just like, I want to explore Melbourne, and I feel like I really came and I achieved what I wanted, which was to kind of fall in love with this city.
Have you filled, like, has that gap been, that hole been filled for you now?
I think so, yeah. And it's also like, it's now not just a romanticized fantasy. It's now like based in reality, where I have specific places that I love, specific people that I love.
Great. What are those places?
I love Richmond.
Yeah?
I really love Richmond. I love Richmond as a suburb.
There's a lot of beer there. A lot of beer gets spilt in Richmond. I can
Yeah. And I run my room there, and that's probably what's kind of part of it. Is I ran my first comedy room in Richmond, and so it's kind of connected to comedy, but it's also connected to just spending a lot of time there and just kind of really enjoying the vibe of Swan Street, and just that as a suburb. And I love Melbourne City. I think it's such a beautiful city.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's my favorite skyline. I always say
Really?
that whenever I'm leaving the city or coming into the city, I always look at the skyline. I go, it is
can
my
relate to
favorite
that.
skyline.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know, man.
relatable.
Just kind of like these little places, and then like the friends I've met and the people that I now know, and I can kind of, I've created Melbourne for myself, in my own head, whereas these places are just kind of what you kind of preconceive, and now it's my own.
Yeah. It took 2 years for that to happen, though, didn't it?
Yeah, well, it with any place, it takes as long as you spend your time there. If I spent a week in Melbourne,
No, you couldn't do that. You couldn't achieve that in a week. You couldn't fall in love with this place in a week, like the
I think
way
you
you
can,
have.
not like I
In a
have.
touristy way, like the way
Yeah,
these people
exactly.
are. Oh, I love Melbourne.
Yeah, exactly. But that's still a version of it.
Yeah, true. I know.
I love Sydney. I've spent maybe a week there.
Sydney's
max.
gay. Sorry.
I haven't spent enough time there to hate it.
Actually, I've got some fond memories of my time in Sydney.
Yeah?
Yeah. And one of them is from being at like the gayest bar in the whole of Sydney.
Yeah.
Had a blast in that place. It's called the Stonewall on Oxford Street. Yeah. I had a brilliant night there one night.
Yeah?
Not
What
ready
was his name?
Not her name. Not ready to talk about it yet, but one day I will.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. There's employment implications.
Employment. Sorry, I forget you have a job.
Yeah. Well, you would. You would.
I'm so unemployed.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, I like that. No, I guess the reason I was probing on that is I'll tell you why. Because when you were just saying that bit that you were talking about just then, you were like, like I came here, I feel like, like I filled in that hole or that gap. Those were my words. I was paraphrasing, but you got that sense of like, oh yeah, this is home, and you made it home.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like that about Venezuela sometimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and but I haven't had your experience.
Yeah,
and that's why I was so
just from a
listening
distance.
Yeah, I was listening so intently when you were saying that because I can tell, and you speak really well, and you're very, very authentic, and you're very articulate, and it's really easy for me to listen to you and absorb what you're saying. But I've been sort of just thinking, I still have that hole. I've never been back. And ever since, it's 2025, 2.5 years ago, I reconnected with my biological dad after 33 years of not being in touch with each other at all. Didn't even know if he was alive. And since then, we've built this little cadence of communication, and like the last thing I need to do is just get over there. And my aunt is funny because she's not my blood relation aunt, but she's known me since I was yay high here in Australia. And turns out, even though she's sort of Swiss, she also grew up in Venezuela for like 10 years. And she's like, just be careful. If you go back, you might not come back. And it's not from like a health and safety perspective. She was like, it's very hard to walk once you smell the smells and see the sights and hug your dad. That's going to be very hard to walk away from. And so there's part of me that can really relate to, what you've said, that you needed to get out of this experience, but also it feels great to know that you've closed this chapter and now you're ready to move on. And I just hope I can get there with my thing one day.
Yeah.
Because you're telling me that it's possible to go and have that chapter and do that thing.
Absolutely.
And
And I think it's never what you expected. Ever.
Yeah.
It's your preconceptions are never what reality is. But
I'm imagining
not saying
Latin booties on the beach.
Oh no, I'm so sorry if that was your preconception.
When am I coming on?
When do you want to come on?
I like a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Well, what day is you on?
Why don't you contact me? Can you get my number? You want to get my number?
Yes, please.
And we can do this.
Thanks, Louis.
What's your name?
Tomas. T-O-M-A-S.
That's Tom.
See you, mate.
That's Tom. That's Tom. Thomas.
Tomas, Tom.
Thomas.
So you're just think of me, eh?
Sorry.
T-O-M, think of me.
Think
That's
of me.
That's what I call you, Tom.
The acronym for Tom. Yeah, think of me.
Remind them. Oh, thanks for
I'm gonna
thinking of me.
use that. I'm gonna
Thanks
use
for
that.
thinking of me.
Yeah.
Thanks for thinking of me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Get in touch, man.
I will.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. Yeah. Yeah. I know I will.
Have a wonderful day, brother.
Get in touch.
I will. Thank you.
Catch you later. Yeah. So that happens, but you know that because you've been here before. Randomers will just drop by and be like, it's not often they say,
Yes.
"Hey, I want to be on the podcast." That's rare, but
Yeah,
that
yeah.
does happen as well.
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
Okay, so I was talking about the kind of reality
Oh,
versus
yeah,
your
that's right.
preconceptions, and
Yeah.
absolutely, it's gonna be big Latina booties on the beach. I imagine it will be that,
I was just joking.
but it will be more than that
Yes. Oh,
because I've had like some of the hardest days here.
really?
Just because like
How
you're
so?
so far from what you know,
Ah.
and I think through and when I talk to people about moving country, it's like all you see when someone moves country is their Instagram and they're having an amazing time, but what they're not showing you is like how lonely it can be.
Crying in the fetal position in
Yeah.
the corner of a room where there's no bed. There's a blow-up mattress.
Exactly.
And it's leaking air. And there's no way of
Yes.
pumping it
And
up.
I've been there as well. I've had the mattress on the floor, and I've struggled to get work. But like as I kind of look back, it's again, it's romanticized on the other side of it, isn't it? It's like you look back and it was like all those awesome moments that you had. But it would be wrong of me to miss out the fact that it wasn't easy. It's definitely an achievement. It wasn't just 2.5 years of non-stop fun.
Bro, you left home and you had a little support coming here, but you left home.
Yeah. Well,
Everyone needs to leave home.
Well, I had left home in the sense of my parents' place. I had lived in London, but
you know,
home in the sense of
familiar environment.
your support network, your friends, your family.
Your context, you talked about that before, your context,
Yeah,
where, you slot into that, and it's great to leave your context and recontextualize yourself. Like, I think about that sometimes, like, and you'll be able to relate to this. You go back to your family and everyone's, oh, look, there's little Tom again. Oh, how you doing, Tom? And they expect you to be that who you are, who you were before, whatever that is. If you were the unemployed one at home, oh, you got a job. You know what I mean? There's a new context, or there's a context that you sort of start to, you're slotted into in an environment. And then it's hard, like, to break out of that is important, to go and recontextualize yourself and go, no, I'm Tom in Australia. Now I'm a comedian here, and I run a room.
yeah. And now I'm going home,
Yeah, but
I'm different.
yeah, and I'm not.
I don't think I'm that different. But my friend, my friend of mine messaged me the other day, and she said,
You're different, bro. Guaranteed.
I'm absolutely sure of it. But I've grown, but
Yeah.
I'm the same, but I've grown.
Yeah.
Either for good or worse. And my friend said, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're coming home next month. It feels like no time has passed." And I was like, "Oh no, I feel like 2.5 years have passed.
Yeah.
A lot has happened since I left."
Time has passed. What do you mean by no time?
I
has
think
passed?
when
What
I
does
look
she
at
mean by that?
what she means, I probably imagine her context hasn't changed.
That's what it is.
Her life's continued as it was.
Yeah.
But I've had a lot of very different and new experiences in that time, and now I'm going home to something that's familiar, but they've only had what's familiar.
That's so
Which isn't a
interesting,
bad thing.
man.
There's obviously life throws all sorts of stuff at you, but
Yeah.
nothing as different as being in a different country on the other side of the planet.
Yeah. I like that point that you just said there about that. Life throws all sorts of stuff at you. But there's, like, I've come to appreciate, especially through this podcast, like listening to people talk about their stories, and then sort of me thinking quite deeply about it. It's like, all right, well, there's two ways of living life. You know, things are going to happen to you, but you can live life just with things that happen to you. Oh, it's your birthday, it's New Year's, it's Christmas. Oh, you got into a car accident. Oh, your parents died. Oh, this and that. And then there's the way of life where you were the catalyst and you made stuff happen. And some people sit a lot in bucket A. They sit a lot in like, oh yeah, well, going through the motions of things. Maybe there's a fear that's stopping them, or maybe they don't know like the possibilities that life has out there for them. But they sort of like, oh yeah, get a job, rent's expensive, you know, to get into the rat race, it's a big trap. But then there's people that go like, fuck this. And it might be because you're lost. It might be because you might need to find yourself. But they're like, no, I'm going to move to the other side of the world and make something happen. And you inevitably will have to grow from that. Like that's where I reckon that's where the most growth happens, in that bucket B, right? Where you were the catalyst. Because you got yourself into that shit. Now you got to get yourself out of it. And that's an awesome thing to be able to go back home and go, yeah, I did that. I went there. I had no plan, but I settled in there. I fell in love with this suburb. I started stand-up comedy. I ran a room. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and it also feels, what's quite exciting about it is absolutely 100% what you're saying. But also, I'm kind of excited because I've now done that for Melbourne. I'm looking forward to doing that for Manchester. Like story's not over. I'm now going to put myself in a new context, in a new city where I don't know anyone apart from my brother, and I'm gonna get to know Manchester, and I'm gonna, make these new connections. And I think that's my aim at the moment. I just want to go to different cities and kind of explore the world through the context of being a comic.
That's cool. Yeah. I think you're doing the right thing as well, because I've been thinking lately about the comedy scene here, and we talked a little bit about it in our first episode, but it still feels like for me, my venturing into the comedy world through doing this podcast and meeting different comedians was still new back then. I was listening to myself, but by the way, I hated listening to myself in that last episode. It's not often I say that, but I realize I've grown so much since then. This podcast has really changed a lot. I've changed since that episode. And so that was fun. But then just listening to our chatter about comedy, I was thinking, yeah, it's a small town here. And you probably already knew that. I think you already knew and appreciated that, and you were sort of alluding to it a little bit. I hadn't quite cottoned onto it yet. But now I'm sort of saying, yeah, if you want to fucking do anything in comedy, like be anyone, you got to get out of here.
In the media industry in
You
general.
can be a great comedian, yeah, of course. I mean, there's stories like that all over the place. Kylie Minogue, who you could really relate to. Since you said, no, I'm just kidding. Russell Crowe,
all the best
actors.
comedians
Eric Bana.
left Australia.
Eric Bana became an actor. I mean, he started his acting career here. Do you know Eric Bana, the comedian? Do you know of Eric Bana? He's a Melburnian. You know Eric Bana, Black Hawk Down, Troy. He was the Incredible Hulk and one of like the 6 people that have played the Hulk.
Yeah.
Eric Bana was a Melbourne-based comedian, and there was this show in the 90s called Fast Forward, Full Frontal. They changed the name to Full Frontal. I don't know why they rebranded it. Fast Forward was great, and it was just a bunch of Melbourne's, or some of Australia's most iconic comedians doing just skits, just sketches. Magda Zavansky's a big one that came out from that scene. Magda Zavansky played the wife in Babe, the pig movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And she's still really huge here. She's on the menu log ads. She did Kath and Kim. Kath and Kim. She's the big one that plays the netballer with the bowl cut. Yeah, that's Magda. So our scene was really littered with very talented people, and they were doing really great work. And I was a new immigrant. I was like 7, 8 years old, but I was watching this shit at like 8 o'clock at night, just laughing my tits off. Right, it was awesome. But Eric Bana then got a gig on. He went from being that like very, very reliable, funny guy to then he did his first movie. He had a small part in The Castle. And then he went to Hollywood. He just took a risk, did some auditions, ended up playing in Black Hawk Down, and then his career just went bang, just popped. That's one of my favorite stories, right? Because he's such a local. He's a St Kilda local, and he goes for the Sainers too. And I was on my birthday, maybe like 7-8 years ago. I was on St Kilda Beach, beautiful day. Eric Banner rides his bike past. I'm like, that was Eric Banner. He's such a local. But it just goes to show, like, if you want to do anything, be good at anything here, you've got to go.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when, like, I'm kind of looking at the comedy festival at the moment, and there are so many talented Australians. Don't get me wrong. I see so many.
Same.
Like, I've some of the shows I've seen, I'm just like, oh wow, that's funny. That's so funny. And then you see the internationals, and they're more reliably funny.
Yeah. They're just killing a bit more.
Yeah, and
Why do you think that is?
I just think you need to get out of Australia.
Yeah.
I think you can do it in Australia. Don't get me wrong, you can absolutely do it in Australia. But I think it's good as a comic to get just world experience, and really kind of understand people and places, and I think that just kind of sharpens your tools a little bit.
Yeah. You were talking about this last time, though. You were talking about that maybe comedy isn't really Melbourne's thing. I think you said something like that, like Melbourne's trying to be a comedy place, or I talked about it with someone else about Australian culture as well. Like, comedy's hard in Australia. Maybe David Rose.
Oh, people are happy? Because people are happy?
No, that wasn't it. That wasn't it. It was just like, it's not really like, I don't know. I can't remember the context. It was more about like people are still trying to figure out where comedy's place is here. Whereas like David Rose said this in the US, like because he's done, he's been there and sort of done that. In the US, he says, audiences know what they're signing up for. And after he said that, I kind of went back to the Comics Lounge and sort of observed a little bit. And I was like, oh, yeah, I understand what David means now. Like, over there, people know what they're signing up for. So a comedian can get on a roll and go bang, bang, bang with a dark joke and then go hit, 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 and just build the momentum. Here, it's kind of like, I've seen a lot of shows since we last spoke. And here it's like, you've got to be careful about how the joke's received so much. And like, I've seen some comedians just drop a joke, and maybe it's a dark joke, and then just wait for the audience's reaction. And then see that one person in the front row who's just shaking their head and going, no. And I can tell by looking at the comedian that it's not impacting them, but it is inhibiting momentum. That momentum that I'm saying, that US one goes bang, and Chappelle gets up there and goes bang, and everyone's like, and bang, and then he says this, and like they get to a point where they're like the Tony Hawk's bar, the Tony Hawk's, where you run a few flips and then suddenly you got the blue bar and you can't fall. Yeah. But here it feels like our comedians can never hit that blue bar. Like it's like,
it's especially in Melbourne. I speak to Sydney comics and they say that Melbourne's the worst for it. Yeah. And it's weird kind of being a comic. I'm a Melbourne comic. I'm an Englishman. I'm a Melbourne comic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've learnt to do comedy in a place where that doesn't appreciate the kind of edgier side of comedy. So now I'm a clean comic. When I move to the UK, maybe I'll learn to not be.
I have to come and see you in the UK.
We'll see what happens. I'm sure I'll bring a show here at some point, maybe in 5 years.
Yeah. But yeah, I love that.
Can I
have some water?
No. I brought food. I brought the food thing, and I'm so hungry.
Yeah. This is my favorite part of the podcast.
Yeah, well, it's about to be mine as well. Look, I wanna bring it back.
Okay.
I want to bring it back.
Okay, simmer down the expectations.
Simmer down the expectations. I haven't cooked you shit.
It can't be worse than Joel Templey, bro.
What was Joel's?
Stale hot cross buns. They were fucking so stale they fell
Oh,
apart.
okay. All right. No, it's not that bad. But it is like, it's an Aldi special. But like, I grew up with an immigrant dad, and I'm gonna make my life sound so much worse than it actually was, just for the context of this bit.
Yeah.
But we were poor.
Okay.
We were poor kids.
Yeah.
I only had a t-shirt and underwear.
I'm
growing
picturing
up.
Oliver.
Twist,
Yeah.
but less money. and all I'd look forward to on a Sunday evening after church was a chalky yogurt.
Oh, bro. I haven't had one of those since I was a kid, bro.
And I think it's nice to be a kid sometimes.
Yeah.
I also brought spoons. Here you go. Here's a
oh,
spoon.
oh, you're a legend. Yes. Okay. A spoon you
I
need
love chocolate yogurt.
back.
Because you
Thank
don't have it as an
Thank
adult.
you. What is this called? This is from
I don't
Aldi.
know.
This
It is from
called
Aldi. but
broccoli.
It's a bit of a
Contains
weird one.
gluten, milk, soy, not for individual sale. Contains gluten, milk, and soy. Great combination.
Yeah, and it doesn't go off for 3 days, so that's great. I love Aldi.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
So I got these because I was like, chocky yog. I love a chocky yog. And
ya?
then I smashed like 5 of them, like on my own yesterday.
Oh, this is sick, bro. Thank you so much, by the way.
No worries.
Yeah, I'll tell you why it became my favorite part of the podcast.
Tell me.
Just the randomness of. I bumped into Joe White the other day.
Yeah.
At the Comics Lounge.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe was the first person I did food with. And actually, when I was listening to our episode today on the way here, that was episode 48. Episode 49 was with Joe White. In our episode, I was saying, I want to incorporate food more into this podcast.
Yes, I remember because I bought you coffee.
Yes, you bought me a coffee. It was awesome. And then what I did with Joe is I brought him meat pies. And then after that, I had a bit of I didn't record for a little bit. I hadn't quite sussed out how I was going to make this food thing happen.
Yeah.
So I think I missed a couple of episodes of it. But Sweeney brought me some mineral waters and there's potential here. But then when I came to my recordings this year, because like I saw the calendar year, like the turn of the new year, as I do see it as like a new year, new me kind of opportunity from the perspective of the podcast.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so in 2025, like, what can I do different? What can I do better? And I was like, well, definitely do the food thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because that time with Joe was really funny because I brought us meat pies, but I had forgotten about them. They were in my bag. And so they were warm when I bought them, but by the time I pulled them out an hour and a half into the recording, they're cold. And I said to Joe, I'm doing this food thing now. He goes, is that just because you want people to feed you? I'm like, no. That time I brought out the meat pies, he starts telling this story that I never would have got out of him just in a chat. And he just goes, it's better than what I was eating in the refugee camp in Sudan. I was like, for real?
Refugee camp?
Yeah, he was in a refugee camp. He was born in a refugee camp.
No shit.
Yeah, he was born he's from Ethiopia. He was born in a refugee camp in Sudan.
Wow.
And he goes, sometimes when I was hungry and there was no food, I just used to mix mud. I just water and dirt in the ground and just eat that.
Oh, really?
It's gross as fuck, but it's one of the best stories from that entire episode, and it wouldn't have happened without the pies that I brought, right?
Yeah. You're right. I was born in a refugee camp. I was so autistic as a kid, man. The only thing that chocky yogs, the only thing chocky yogs remind me of is when I was in Aldi as a kid. I was in Aldi once with my mum while she was doing some shopping.
Yeah.
And I was stealing yogurts, hiding in the store, and just eating them
Nice.
with my fingers, and I just ate as many as I could, and they found me, and my poor mum had to just stand there scanning these empty yogurts to pay for what I had done. Yeah,
the
I'm so privileged.
The food is bringing back memories. It's bringing back great memories. Oh, that's brilliant. I love that.
Such a piece of shit.
Bro, how old were you? You would have been
Like 18.
18.
No, it would have been like 7 or 8.
Mm.
But yeah.
Yeah. If my kid did that, I'd be like, way to go.
I would be furious that he got caught.
No, I'd be like, I'd be glad they got caught. I'd be like, you got busted, but I'm not going to be mad at you because I know it's already embarrassing. And I kind of like that you were doing that because if I was you, I'd be doing that too.
I can't remember what my mum did, but
she didn't hit you.
no, she was.
She didn't hit you
from
enough.
memory. No, oh, dude, I wasn't the worst of it. I was a nightmare child. From memory, she was really good about it. But
Bro, did you just go into a dark place just then?
yeah, I was just remembering all the silly things I've done.
Yeah.
But also, like, a lot of the time when I would... See, now I'm defending myself and I haven't told you what I've done yet. A lot of the things I used to, like, do as a kid, like, it was pure autism. And I used to...
I love how the neurodiverse always just can play that card. Bro, everyone's a shit kid for a bit. Excuse me, were you a kid once?
Yeah.
Were you naughty?
Of course.
Everyone was a naughty shit kid. You know what I mean? Pick any one of these people, they did something dumb.
You're right.
Maybe not at Aldi.
You're right. But what I feel like I used to do was get myself in trouble, and the context would always be, why did you do that? And I wouldn't know how to defend myself because there was always a good reason, but I always looked like an idiot.
Yeah.
There was this one time, this kid, we were playing house cricket at school. And I only picked, I'm not a sporty kid. I wasn't a sporty kid. And I just signed up just to get out of class because you got like out of class for a full day.
Yeah.
And we're on the pitch and this kid comes up to me and grabs me by the ankles and just yanks, and I just fall like face first on the ground.
That's mean.
It's mean. And it was embarrassing. It's embarrassing as a kid. And in my head, I was like, I'm going to get this fucker back.
Of course.
And so
That's essential.
when he wasn't looking, I grab him by the ankles, yank him, and he falls on the ground and re-breaks his arm.
Oh, brilliant.
And
fuck yes.
He goes, and everyone is like, you're a fucking idiot. Like he was meant to be like, what do they call it in cricket? The thrower?
Oh, the bowler. The bowler. Yeah. So he was
the
bowler.
ball thrower.
He was the bowler.
So he was the bowler.
All right.
And they were like, you fucked us. First of all, you fucked us for today. Also, why would you do that? He's just come out of a cast. Like his arm's just come out of a cast. You've just re-broken his arm. He has to go back in a cast. And so it looked like I was just an idiot. But then when the teacher got involved, I kind of explained myself. And I was like, look, he did it to me.
So I did it.
I did it to him. I didn't
Eye
think
for an eye.
I didn't think his arm was a pussy.
Yeah.
And was going to re-break. And my punishment was I had to go and watch the girls' house rounders all day.
Fucking brilliant. Hello.
I've been breaking arms ever since. It's my Saturday tradition. I break arms and go and score the house rounders.
It's like if your boss sent you to a strip club for being late to work. Like, hello. Sorry.
I'm so naughty.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah. Well, none of that story made any sense other than the fact that you got that little fucking smart ass back. That's the only bit of the story that made sense. None of the rest of it made sense.
Well, in the context
Because everyone else
of-
was being a dick, not you.
Yeah, and then in the context of kind of like how it played, everybody came up to me and were like, "You're a fucking idiot."
Yeah, and that's.
And then
standing
he
on
came
the-
up to me, like when he came past me and he was holding his arm, like a sourpuss. I was like, "Dude, I'm so sorry. That's not what I meant." He goes, "Yeah, you fucking will be." And I was like, "Dude, you did it to me first. Like you started that game. I finished it."
I feel like we need to track this guy down, and
He's a melonhead.
we need to track this guy down and just remind him that he could have had a career in cricket as an international cricket player, playing for England, let's just say, and playing in the IPL, and just let him know that the reason he's not is because you broke his arm that time.
Because he was being a div.
Yeah.
Being a divot.
Yeah, such a dick thing to do to someone. I mean, walking from, like, look, kids did that at my school too, but like you would definitely get into a punch on with someone if you did that to them at school. Like, hello.
Yeah. Well, I think I was someone you
That's pretty fucking
could
mean.
fuck with. I
Ah,
wasn't very like strong and I wasn't very aggressive. I just wanted to have a laugh.
and then you
I was
went and
also
broke some
weird.
kid's arm.
Yeah,
badass.
that's what you fucking get. My dad told me this story when he always used to tell us this story as a kid. My dad is just like the most wonderful person, and he always
Mm.
practices kindness.
Mm.
And he
Nice.
said to me that when he was playing house, I don't know what it would have been. It might have been footy. He grew up in Australia, so it
Yep.
might have been footy, might have been cricket. Doesn't matter. They were all lining up.
Yep.
And he steps in dog shit,
Mm-hmm.
and all of the kids around him were just laughing at him.
Yep.
And this
Oh.
one kid comes through the crowd, picks up a leaf, and cleans the dog shit off my dad's shoe and walks away. And my dad always used to tell us that story like a parable and be like that kid. Be the kid who doesn't mind stepping in for the guy who stepped in dog shit. And I always really liked that story.
Again, none of that story made any sense. Why would that kid do that? I mean, there's being a
Because-
good dude, and then there's having to risk getting dog shit on your hands when the leaf breaks. Like, I would have put my arm around your dad and gone, "Don't listen to those guys. But I ain't cleaning that." That's a whole other level of saint. What was this kid's name? Jesus? Are you kidding?
Like I said, it was a parable.
Oh my God. Unbelievable.
I,
Unbelievable.
But I also think it's like
And it
my
was an
dad's
Aussie kid too, because he grew up here.
But my
That was
dad's
an
never
Aussie kid.
forgotten it. I don't hear stories about when my dad was like 13, and that's one of the stories he really remembers. And it's
Yeah.
just like,
My ex used to say this one
stop
thing.
giving a shit, be kind.
Yeah. She used to say this one thing that was people.
You've recontextualized that story for me. You're an asshole.
Sorry.
Fine.
Just
That's such
imagine
a
the leaf
funnier
breaks.
take.
Well, yeah. The ex used to say people won't remember what you did, but they'll remember how you made them feel, and that's probably why your dad remembers that so much, because like everyone else was making making him feel like a fucking loser, but this kid made him feel like he was okay,
Yeah.
and that he helped him and he gave him a hand. Like, you'll never forget those moments. Like, I've got a moment like that, like being like, 19, 20. I was 20? I was 19 and I was unemployed, but I just signed up to go to the school. But Centrelink was like, but you're unemployed, so you got to go and apply for like 10 jobs this week. I was like, but I've just signed up to go to this school. And they were like, it doesn't matter, it's the rules. I'm like, I'm technically on school holidays. Like,
Yeah.
because I'm, can't fucking get a job. Anyway, I sort of walked into this lady and I was like, listen, would someone please, can someone please just understand my situation? Like, why would I go out and apply for full-time jobs when I literally can't work in 4 months' time because I'll be studying full-time?
Yeah.
And this lady goes, listen, I know what they're trying to do to you. And I'm sorry. Stamps my form, just goes, all the best for the future. And just,
Yeah. Someone just cutting you a bit of slack.
yeah, just caring about you.
Yeah.
And I
treating
never-
you like
never
a
forgot that lady.
human in a system that treats you like a number.
Yeah. She was working at the Salvation Army employment office on not Crimea Street, that other street in St Kilda. I'll never forget that. I was in that office, and yeah, what that lady just kind of, she saw me. You know, she saw me in my moment of need, and that's kind of what I love about that story about your dad. I still can't believe that kid did that, but fuck, no wonder he didn't forget it. How many opportunities do we have on a daily basis to be that kid?
I've grown into such an asshole. I'm the guy making jokes at the kid who stepped in shit, whilst also being the kid who stepped in shit.
Yeah.
You know what they say, bullies bully, and
Yeah. You seem in a bit of like
bullies get bullied.
bully inception.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I hope that if an injustice or an unreasonable amount of shitting on someone was happening, but also like it's different as a kid. You feel more.
Yeah.
If someone stepped in shit now, everyone would take the piss. If you stepped in shit right now, I'd take the piss out of you, and then I'd be like, oh, I don't know, there's some tissues up the road, I'll help you out. Do you know what I mean? But like, I'll still take the piss out of you, but I'll also help you out. And I think that's being an adult. Kids won't help out.
I really wanted to check my shoes just then when you said that. Because in this location, it's quite possible.
That you've stepped in shit.
Yeah.
How often?
It wouldn't be dog.
How often are you looking where you're walking?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You don't smoke anymore, do you?
No, I still do.
Oh, do you want a cigarette?
I'd love one.
Do you have a lighter?
Oh, you're kidding me.
I don't. No.
The answer to that could have been yes last week.
I brought these.
You don't have a lighter, do you? You? Lady that doesn't appear to even be close to a smoker?
I'm sure we'll find someone. Do you know how to roll, or do you want me to roll for you?
You have to roll it for
You
me.
got a fly on your head. On your forehead. These flies
They're
are just
attracted to shit.
sticking.
Yeah, so these flies are pretty nuts here. Actually, it's weird to have flies this time of year.
I've got giant flies in my living room at the moment. They're
Really big ones. Are you going to miss that about Australia?
Am I going to miss that about Australia? Here you go, brother.
Because I remember being in the UK and barely even seeing a bird. You know what? I didn't appreciate how much wildlife we have here. Anyone got a lighter? How much wildlife we have here in Australia until I came back. I was in Europe and I was like, oh yeah. Oh, you don't notice anything there. But then you come back here and there's like birds buzzing around everywhere.
Yeah, you guys got a
Pigeons
lot of
getting in your
birds.
face.
You got a lot of birds.
It's just birdie here. Very birdie.
We've got squirrels.
Squirrels.
I love squirrels.
We got possums. We got possums here. You gonna miss possums?
Possums. Yeah, whenever I mention squirrels, people bring up possums like they're the same thing. So yes, you have another like mammal that climbs trees.
Yeah. No other similarity.
But also there's no similarities between possums and squirrels.
Well,
Squirrels are
possums
cute.
are
Possums-
nocturnal as well. They're mostly just chilling at night.
They're just chilling.
And then daytime, they're completely gone. Like, you don't barely even see one. But at night... Yeah, you can take a picture. You got a light?
No, okay. You want lighter?
Yeah.
Oh, you legend.
You are the best. Thank you. We'll give this back to you in a sec. He's still rolling.
Okay.
Do you want us to pose?
Up to you. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you. One pose, one natural. Just...
All right, I'm ready.
Just pour one. Excellent. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy your day.
Yeah, thank you.
See you later.
What a beautiful moment. Only right here on the Lui Diaz Podcast.
Trust me, man. There's small moments, and for someone to watch an entire episode of this, because they're about 2 hours long-ish, is a big commitment. But we're having so many moments on this podcast, man. Jared Gandry, I'm just about to release episode part 1 of Jared Gandry.
You got to get Jared on. I love Jared, man.
I've got him.
He's
I'm just about
lovely.
to release part 1 on Monday of that ep, which is great because I'm going to his show next Saturday night.
So worth it. So worth it.
Dude, you got to watch this episode. It's not only funny as hell, it's deep, it's really personal, really meaningful, really inspiring, funny as fuck, and some really good moments with this guy that walks past.
Oh, really? Yeah, Jared's such a crack. And he's so up for it.
Jared is honestly, I walked
He's a
away from that.
machine.
Yeah. He's another level. And he attributes that a lot of it to his army training.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just commitment, discipline.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah. But also, the one thing that I really loved about Jared was how he pushed through this fear barrier that he had, an insane fear barrier. And you'll hear it on this ep that's coming up on Monday, right? It's he was like sweating and wanting to vomit just at the idea of doing a reel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That guy.
Yeah.
The same guy. Yeah. I'm like,
That's crazy.
to push through. Because I've been there before. I've been there before. I was there I used to get there as a kid. And then I remember I was in this choir. And
You're in a
eventually,
choir?
yeah,
Ugh.
I was in a choir for 2 years. And eventually I had to quit because somehow I started getting nervous. And then the nerves were just killing me before each show. And I just didn't enjoy it anymore. I just couldn't do it anymore. And I'm like, well, yeah, now I'm speaking to this guy. At the time, I was thinking, fuck, now I'm speaking to this guy who pushed through that and managed to get past it.
Yeah.
And now look at him. Like, the work ethic is insane as well.
He's such a... Jared's a cool story because he's someone who's just making it on their own. He's not waiting around for someone to sign him. He's not waiting around for someone to give him the thumbs up. He's like, I'll go on tour.
And he's got so much support too. Like, people love him, especially the vets, the army people.
Yeah.
Love what he's doing too. So he's got this, like momentum.
Yeah.
With him, like an entourage of people that are wishing goodwill on him as well, which is just special.
I think you call it a fan base.
Yeah, you're right. You would call that a fan base, but for me, it feels different with Jared. Because because I read comments and stuff on reels and shit. And when you read some of his comments, you're like, oh, these aren't just fans. Like, they're people that fucking want more. Like, they want him to succeed. They want to see him succeed. It's not just like, oh, I love what you're doing. It's like, nah, do more. Yeah. Go, move. Push.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like that they're like super fans.
Yes. Yeah. You're right. They love him.
Yeah. And that's cool. That was really unique and special. You were talking before about comedians. Can I say something? Because I gave Temple his shit before about the hot cross buns.
Yeah.
But actually, he's one of the best acts I've seen this whole festival.
Oh, you went and saw his show?
I did.
I need to catch it. This is going to be
He's so
released
raw,
after
bro.
the festival, and I haven't caught his show.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who haven't gone and seen, and I do feel a bit bad, but it's only so many hours in the day. But I did want to commit to seeing Joel because I think he's really funny on his reels and stuff, and he's so good on stage, man. It's like you're just watching a guy who does not give a fuck.
So in one of the reels I did, I spoke to Templey, and I was like, what makes a great comedian? And his answer was fearlessness.
Oh, dude.
And you look at Joel and you go, you embody that.
Yes. I do feel like at times he does crash his own momentum.
Yep.
By like, God, you didn't find that funny? You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, just keep going, bro. Don't fucking worry, because I think they're loving it. And you know what's funny is his show's called From Russia with Lols, and obviously that's a little controversial at times for some of the stuff that he talks about. And he doesn't talk about Russian politics or anything, just his experience of having a Russian girlfriend and living there. But it's so funny. Like, there was like 8 people in the crowd at the start. Like, at the beginning of the show, there was like 8 of us. Small room, small crowd. It was great. One of the people in the crowd was a Russian chick. Chick that was sitting right behind her was Ukrainian. So there was a little bit of byplay there, and it was so good.
Yeah,
And
that's so funny.
both of them were both of them were laughing.
Yeah,
And the weirdest thing about this room, because it's in the St Kilda Cellars, so people could just walk in from the bottle shop,
Yeah.
and they were. By the end of the room, there was like 15, 20 people in there. By the end of the show, I looked, because I was sitting in the front row, and I was fucking laughing my ass off. And he thought I was putting it on, but I wasn't. I fucking find the guy really funny. I turned around, and there's like 6 other dudes just standing at the back. They must have heard it from the bottle shop, and they've just walked in to catch what's going on in here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a sign of a good, true comedian.
Yeah,
That he can just pull people in off the street.
He's a real comic, and he's someone who's not let. He's an edgy comic, I guess you would
He is
say,
edgy.
for Melbourne. And I don't think he hasn't let Melbourne kind of mold him into what Melbourne wants him to be.
Yeah.
He's very kind of true to. I'm just telling jokes.
Yeah. And he's sophisticated too. Like, there is a level of sophistication to his jokes that I'm like, oh yeah, like that's very good.
Mm-hmm.
He set that up really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
He's a great joke writer.
Yeah. And so, yeah, like, just wanted to give that a bit of recognition, because we were talking before about how hard it is to make it here. But then you see people with that kind of commitment, and I'm like, oh, you could make it anywhere. And I actually can't wait to see him go overseas with it. Like maybe the US or somewhere.
Yeah, I hope Joel makes it out.
Yeah.
I hope he does. I don't know what his plans are, but I hope that he
It feels like he's committed though, bro.
he's absolutely committed.
He's in.
It's hard when your life's here. It's why I don't want to kind of set up and get too comfortable anywhere yet. I really want to experience comedy to the full, which is comedy kind of internationally.
Well, you're right. That's a big part of it. Having a life here that holds a lot of people back.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Very
think
smart, wise.
But yeah, probably helps that I started in a city that isn't my own.
Yeah.
This is the second comedy festival I've done.
Right. So you were here last year.
Yes. Yeah. I was. So I run Goffs as a venue.
Yeah.
For the comedy festival.
Yeah.
We run loads of kind of shows out of there. Last year we did 30, not individual shows, but 35 like showings
Right.
of multiple shows.
Yeah.
And this year we've got like 55.
Fuck. So
So the work's ramped up.
to put that into context for someone that doesn't know, the comedy festival runs over a month-ish. About a month. Yeah, it's over a month. And so that's what 28 days or something like that. So you're doing like what, nearly 2 screenings or whatever you call them.
So we run Wednesday to Saturday.
So
So we're doing at least 3 a day, and then on Saturday tonight I've got 5.
That's awesome. Well, what's the difference between last year and this year? Like, what do you?
That's such a good question because it's so different.
Yeah. Right.
So last year, my first comedy festival, a year into comedy, we set up our venue as a comedy festival venue, and we ran a bunch of shows with comics who we just wanted to give opportunities to people who. So, bit of context for the comedy festival. So it's like $450 to apply.
Really?
To get a show into the festival.
Right.
So you pay a registration fee.
Yeah.
And then you also have to pay for your venue, which is like maybe $200 give a lot more for a good venue, maybe a little bit less for a shit venue, and per show.
Right.
So you are in the hole before you're going to see profit, and
Right.
most people don't. So when me and Steve set up this venue, Steve Bradshaw, we were running Goffs as a weekly Wednesday comedy room, and then the comedy festival was coming up, and we were like, oh, let's run it as a comedy festival venue, and let's not charge a venue fee, but just take a percentage on ticket sales. So if they don't make their money, they're not, they're not thousands of dollars in debt.
Right.
And we're kind of giving it that opportunity to newer comics who want to do a show at the comedy festival but aren't kind of good enough to not
Sure.
lose loads of money.
Yeah.
And so we gave so it was kind of like open micers wanting to do shows.
Very altruistic of you.
And it went really well, and we ran this show called 10 for 10 at 10:10. This is 10 comedians for $10 at 10:10 p.m. And that show was selling out every night.
Right.
That we put it on last year. And like the venue's capacity is like 45. We can push 50. We were selling 60 tickets a night or more.
Right.
Like people were buying tickets and were like, I'm happy to stand at the back.
Right. Cool.
That show was just like gangbusters. And I was like, oh, amazing. This is the best. I love comedy festival. And I was like drinking every night, and I was mingling with comedians, and I was like, oh, this is what comedy is.
Yeah.
And then this year
No. No. I was like, fuck yeah, this is better.
this year,
Okay.
that show's not selling out.
Right.
It gets good numbers. It's like, on a Wednesday or Thursday, maybe we've got like 20. On the weekend, maybe we've got like 30 to 40. And I'm like, oh, it's not bad. Like those are good numbers for a comedy festival show. But, my context is of it being up here.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like a normal run. And like, that's absolutely fine. And I think it was just a reminder, you will have awesome comedy festival runs, and then you will also have your mid tiers, and I haven't even had a bad tier where I'm like, I got to perform in front of one person tonight. And I think that's the difference. But also this year I'm doing the comedy festival sober.
Oh.
And so like I don't get to finish an evening of running shows and then drinking loads of beers and mingling with comics.
Yeah.
I still try and kind of mingle with comics, but it's a little bit harder to kind of like be kind of like on after like an evening of running shows and being a promoter.
Yeah.
And so it's just a different experience. And the reason I wanted to do it sober
Yeah.
is because mainly I wanted to experience comedy as a job.
Oh yeah. Like a professional. I was thinking that. It seems like a real professional thing for you to be doing.
Yeah. And I think it's like, oh, this is my job.
Yeah.
My job is to run these shows. And last year I was just drinking all the time. I was having an awesome time. I was running them drunk, and it's like it's this just kind of crazy whirlwind, awful for your mental health by the end of it. But at the time it's an awesome time. And this year it's like I'm sober and I've got to focus on the job at hand.
Yep.
And then I'll have a little bit of a kind of like a mingle afterwards. I'll go down to the Exford or the Festival Club and I'll kind of chat to a couple of people, but it's not like a big night out. And it's just a completely different experience. And it's like, I think I'm feeling it this year. I'm like, this is work.
Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing. It's nice to, kind of be.
I kind of wish those stories were the other way around though.
Yeah. Well, I could drink. I could kind of get the most out of it and kind of
you've
go.
got a month left here. You've got a month left here. Hello.
Yeah, but I also I'm not. I know I've only got a month left, but also this isn't the kind of end of this.
Yeah.
At the end, on the last day of the comedy festival, on the last Sunday of the comedy festival, I will drink.
I will just drink.
And I will enjoy getting to the end of the festival.
I'll make sure I can't remember anything from the day before. I know, of course, and I'm not encouraging it, and I'm not sort of being like, an enabler, but I'm just thinking, I really respect your commitment to wanting to explore the professional side of it and have a professional mindset. That takes balls, because I think in our last recording, you described it as comedy Christmas. Now,
Yeah.
I think about Christmas and all we do is drink and eat and laugh. So, yeah, for you to be like, nah, this Christmas I'm going to be sober. That's a lot.
That's what
And I'm
it
going to be
is.
on a diet.
Yeah. The diet's failed, but
Yeah.
we are so hard to look after yourself. I've managed to succeed on the not drinking front, but it's a lot more difficult to look after yourself because you're just on the run the whole time, and you're like, of course I want chips, of course I want a burger.
Yeah.
I need to-
Oh, of course, man. Got to
just-
nourish that body
yeah,
with
exactly.
something.
But yeah, no, different experience. And Jeremy Dooley, I think Jared Gowndry as well. I don't think they don't drink. And I heard them do it last year, and you can tell if someone's not drinking, and I've experienced it this year, the sobering reality of kind of what's actually at play. Like, you are exhausted.
Yeah.
You are so tired because you're checking tickets on the door, and you're making sure that the venue's running okay, and you're running tech, and then you've got to make sure all the comedians are arriving on time, and then you've also got to get up on stage and be funny, and it's just a lot. And when you're drunk, it doesn't matter. But I think after the comedy festival last year, I was just exhausted. I was just a finished human.
Yeah, you were cooked.
And I hope that at the end of this festival, I'll be okay.
Still have the energy.
Yeah, probably not the energy, but I think my head will be in a better place.
I think that, look, that makes total sense. It's very relatable, from a relatable standpoint. I think I made a decision at the end of last year to try and, as my New Year's resolution, to set a production goal for this podcast, because I was, the year before I did like 22 episodes, felt pretty cooked. The last year I put out about 22 episodes. At the end of it, I was pretty cooked. But then I was like, this year I want to do 40 episodes. 40. And I was like, that's about just under double my last, 2
That's a
years
lot.
running. And it's almost one a week, right? For this kind of production, it's a lot with a full-time job, as we talked. And I was like, oh God, how is that even going to be possible? I was just thinking back to the last 2 years. After 2023, I was so burnt out that I thought I was going to quit. And I didn't come back to the podcast till about March last year, right? And the fact that I was able to get 22 out in pretty much 9 months is pretty awesome. I was like, fuck, how am I going to make it? Oh, then I started doing the maths on a few things. I was like, okay, well, hang on, you only really did 9 months last year. And, you weren't that disciplined with your production. And also, you were going out on Tuesday night and Thursday night sometimes during the week, and sometimes till like 3 a.m. And while I was working full time.
Legend.
Yeah. Well, try doing that at 39, 40 years old. Trust me. It's very hard. The fact that I was working, I somehow managed to stay functioning at my full-time job and put out 22 episodes of this podcast.
Very impressive.
But what if I just took away those nights out? What if I just absolutely just focused 100% on being sober-ish? I haven't really nailed that yet this year, but I've reduced it heavily. What if I went to bed early-ish enough? What if I focused on, what if I set up a cadence on how I'm going to put out a weekly episode? And that level of focus has really changed it. Now, I'm happy to say that I just released my 11th episode for the year, and I'm just about to release the 12th. If we look at a year in trimesters, that means I'm on track for about 13. So I'm on track for about close to 42 episodes this year.
Wow.
Already.
That's awesome.
And you're the first recording of an eight recordings in 8 days. 2 today, 2 tomorrow, 2 on Good Friday, and 2 on Easter Saturday. So that kind of production commitment and that kind of cadence and that kind of like just prolificness, I suppose, can't happen if I'm going out hitting the piss tonight. Like I've got offers to go out tonight. Oh, come there, come and see me here, come there. And I'm like, well, if I know if I go, I can't be downloading all this, getting all the files set up, clearing it all, getting it ready for tomorrow's 2 recordings. I know that, how hard is it to not to sit in a comedy, like to sit in the crowd and not hit the beers? You know what I mean? And it probably means I'll get to bed around midnight, 1 a.m. and then I'll be cooked for tomorrow. So, like, I really respect your decision and the commitment to doing the soberness for this year, because I know it works. And maybe the results you're getting aren't as amazing as last year, but there's other factors at play there, right? Like people are struggling economically here. Like the average punter isn't like living the dream as good as they were like a year or 2 ago, right? People are pinching their pennies a little bit more now. We can tell, like it's affecting my industry. Some of our competitors at work have gone broke. So I have this other awareness that like, hey, there's some tough economic times that have really hit some people, and maybe that's affecting ticket sales this year. I'd love to know how your show's performing in relation to other shows in the festival, and how they're performing in relation to last year as well. Like if you got the data on that.
Yeah, that'd be so interesting, wouldn't it?
Because I'll tell you what, sneaky fucking thing that the Australian Open, and that the Australian Open, I have a love-hate relationship with it. Especially because of that American chick that is always talking at the end of it. I'm just like, why do we have a fucking American yank chick being the CEO of the Australian Open? It should be some fucking Aussie chick who's a bit of a bogan, who like lets the F-bomb goes fucking great festival, great tournament, everyone fuck some titties. But she got up at the end of the Australian Open this year and she was like, I would like to thank Rolex and all of our sponsors, and I would also like to say that for the 5th or whatever year running, we broke crowd numbers. And I'm like, oh yeah, I went to the Australian Open this year. It was $19 to get into the grounds. Now, every other fucking year, it was at least $50 to get into the grounds. So you reduced ticket prices to encourage more people to come through. But you know what else, you sneaky bitch? That brought all of the fucking real hard bogans from the outer north and western suburbs. So if you were walking through the Australian Open this year, you would have seen some of the roughest cunts with tattoos all over the shop, like real roughies. And like the chicks too, fake lashes, hair extensions, fake nails falling off them, just fucking straggling around, with little hip flasks and shit. Like the crowd, look, so this chick's hanging her hat on the fact that they've sold more tickets and we've had more record crowd numbers, and yeah, that looks good on your stat sheet. What have you done to the tournament in order to enable that? Yeah, you let in a few loose units that you weren't letting in the last years because your ticket prices have dropped significantly. So for them, it was more important to make sure that the crowd numbers were big and that the tournament looked like a success than it was to hold up the esteem, you'd call it, of the tournament. And that was that your more affluent people could get in. But they knew. They'd already done the maths there at the Australian Open. They were like, fuck, economy's pretty shit at the moment. How are we going to get people through the doors? Drop ticket prices.
And there's a cost for that.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah. I mean, there was people like, it looked like the end of the Melbourne Cup. At the end of the Melbourne Cup, we walk in through the gates at Flemington and like everyone's looking damn good. And at the end of it, like, people are walking around with their shoes off going, where's my taxi? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it looked like that. But anyway, I don't know why I went on that rant. We were talking about this year versus last year.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, don't beat yourself up. Like, fucking, there's other reasons why it might not be.
I'm sure. I think also something I'm kind of comparing
What a rant.
Is that I don't know anything about Australian Open, but I got your point.
Yeah, it's a tennis one.
There's a pick your hard, and and my
yeah, I like that.
You like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a good one. and it relates to the drinking as well.
Yeah.
It's like this festival is hard sober,
Yeah.
but it would be harder to leave this festival if I'd been drinking the whole festival. Pick your hard.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a bit of Andrew Tate getting into you there.
Why?
No, I've been listening to
Andrew Tate.
yeah, I listen to all kinds of people. I listen to everyone, except for people that are too political and like trying to tell you how to live. I think the difference with him, he sort of encourages you to. He's like, take it or leave it. Like, this is me. This is what I'm saying. And on that, there's a similar channel that sort of follows him that released a extended reel or something that was like basically pick your hard. And it was like getting up at 5 a.m. is hard, but being broke and unemployed is also hard. You know, being staying in every weekend to edit your podcasts and is hard.
Mm.
But also not having a project that you're passionate about and going just to work to a meaningless job every week is also hard.
Mm.
So I understood that from that kind of reel. And I think you referenced one of the things that he said, but
I did. Not intentionally. I'm looking at this festival and I'm looking at last festival. And last festival, just because we had like huge crowds or like packed rooms all festival, and I was getting up and I was just having such a good time being a comic. I got to the end of the festival and I had this massive this new confidence as a comic. And this year I was like, oh, I can't wait to get up to these packed crowds. I can't wait to get to the end of the festival with this new confidence. And this year it's different. And this year I'm having like a confidence crisis, and I'm like trying to manage my confidence crisis and make sure that I'm still able to kind of perform well to these crowds. Despite some nights I'm just bombing. Some nights I'm just eating shit, and I'm doing my best stuff. And I'm not only am I doing my best stuff, I'm also bored of it. Yeah. Because I've been doing it for too long.
I wonder if Ed Sheeran thinks that, like he plays that one song that everyone knows. I don't know what song that is, but like
I'm sure musicians get it.
A big song, and they, get up on stage again. Ah, fuck, here I am in Rome again. Here we are in London again. Here I am in New York again.
Well, I think that's why it's at the end of the day, it is a job.
It's a job,
especially if you're successful at it.
Pick your hard.
It's harder when you're not successful at it.
Yeah. yeah.
Here I am again.
Yeah.
But I was talking to Blaze White. Is a friend of mine.
You mentioned Blaze last time.
He does the
still haven't met Blaze.
Geelong Comedy Festival.
Right.
And he
because he's out there in Geelong.
He lives in Geelong.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, he used to be a Melbourne comic. Now he's setting up his own scene in Geelong. He runs the Geelong Comedy Festival with his wife, Kelly Baker.
Yeah.
And they're awesome. They're staying at mine during the comedy festival. We're good friends.
Yeah, cool.
And I'm kind of like, debriefing with him, and we're talking about comedy during this time. And he was like, look, mate, you are so new to comedy that
Sorry.
He was like, you're so new to comedy that you learnt so much last year, and now there's a difference in what you need to learn. It's like you kind of like you've got over the hump of the 2 years in comedy, your first 2 years in comedy, when you learn the most. It's just like information. And now between your second year and your 10th year, you are just going to slowly progress as a comic. And he was like, comics drop out of comedy around year 3 or 4. A lot of them don't make it past that, because these are the harder years where you're learning at a slower rate, because you just have to chip away at the art. But when you first come into it, it's like, wow, everything's amazing. Oh, I'm learning how to tell jokes.
No, that's a great perspective that he's given you there, man. It's the same. People say the same about everything: podcasting, YouTubing. They reckon
the learning curve. Yeah.
there's a stat or something saying like some percentage, a high percentage of podcasts don't get past 10 episodes. You know, so the fact that we're on 69,
Yeah, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Soiss on Neuf.
yeah, and was that what was that? Is that French?
69 in French.
Really?
I tell you where
69?
Soiss on Neuf.
Yeah.
I was skiing with my gran, and me and my brothers kept seeing like the slope signs, and whenever we went past 69, we go 69, 69, and my gran caught on, but at the end of it, she said, "Guys, we're in France. It's Soiss on Neuf."
Why are grands so cool?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Skiing gran.
'Cause they know it's your
with
parents.
69 jokes.
Yeah. That is a fucking cool grand. She alive?
Yep, she's still alive.
Lucky you.
80, 81, 82.
You got she lives in there.
She lives in the UK. I'm very much looking forward to going
Yeah.
back and getting
Seeing
to
you
see
there.
her. Yeah.
She's probably missed you, bro.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm missable.
Yeah.
She's got like 16, 17 grandchildren.
Which one are you again?
Nah, she's switched on.
Yeah. I mean, what's on Neuf? Please. How many grands do that? But that's great, man. Yeah, it's good. And so this is the end of the chapter, man. This is it. Finishing up the comedy festival. When does that finish up? In like 10 days?
Next week. Next
Yeah.
week. End of next week.
End of next week, yeah.
Which that would be the 20th of April.
Yeah. And then how much? What's the date? When's your flight
And
booked?
then so what I'm doing is I'm finishing up. My brother lives in the Gold Coast.
Oh, he does.
And so after the comedy festival, I'll go up to the Gold Coast.
So you got another brother in Manchester.
Younger brother in the Gold Coast,
Yeah.
older brother in Manchester,
Okay.
sister in London,
Right.
another younger brother living at home with my parents. I got a lot of siblings.
Yeah, right.
Siblings coming out of my ass.
Right.
And
come out of your ass, let's-
Tasmania, and oh god, sorry about that. What's a podcast without an incest joke?
Yeah.
And so I'm going up to the Gold Coast for a couple of days to say goodbye to my brother because he's going to stay in Australia. He's got an
Nice.
awesome life here.
That's if you want to get your Southern Cross tattoo, that's
It'll
a
be the
place.
Gold Coast.
Yes.
And then I come back, I say all my goodbyes. I leave on the 15th of May. I go back home. I see my parents for like 2 weeks. We're going to just kind of hang out and get to see them. And then I'll move up to Manchester in June.
Yeah.
Get stuck into the comedy scene, try and find myself a job, try and stabilize myself. And then in August, Edinburgh Fringe Festival,
That's
baby.
right. Is that August or October? Oh, August.
August.
Right, Edinburgh Fringe. Yeah, David Rose is doing that this year,
Mm.
and I think someone else. Who?
Yeah.
Alex Main said he's going to go and do that.
Yeah,
this
me
year.
and Alex are doing it together.
All right.
Together. We're both going.
Yeah.
We'll hang out a lot.
Yeah. Is that what you mean by together?
Yeah.
It's coincidentally he's just going to be there.
Well, I think I convinced him to go.
Yeah, he's a good dude, and him and I are committed to doing another ep when he's back from it, so we can talk about it.
Yeah, sick.
So
Yeah.
I'll make sure he brings back plenty of stories about you.
I hope so. I love it when people talk about me. I
remember, like I was just like I said before, I was listening to our last episode together, and I was just like, yeah, comedians are just so up for it, and you're like, it's because they love the sound of their own voice, or they just love the attention. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to play it down. Let's just say I finally understand what you mean. I'm trying to give everyone the benefit of the doubt all the time.
Nah.
Look things through rose-colored glasses.
Why
a
would we
lot.
get up in front of strangers and beg for their approval if we didn't love the attention?
Yes,
Oh, it's for the art of telling jokes.
I get it now.
Get fucked.
I get it now.
Give me attention. It's all I want.
If anything, I've just realized how naive I am and how too positive I am all the time.
Yeah. Well,
attention
comedy's
seeking.
such a weird. I sometimes try and remember how I saw comedy when I
Yeah.
was just a punter.
How did you see it? You can't remember.
I think I
now.
kind of romanticized it, but often I'd go. When I did go to comedy shows, it was hit and miss. Like it wasn't laughing out of my seat the whole time. I was always kind of leaving a little bit like, oh, I don't know. But that's comedy.
Yeah.
It's like they're called punters because they're taking a punt.
Yeah.
You know.
On you.
Yes. On the night, on the evening, on the comedy.
Realize that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Because
Now you've just filled in a big gap for me. Why are they called punters? There
Yeah.
you go. That question's. I'm 40 years old and a half, and that question's finally been answered. Why they're called punters? This whole time, I was just like, why fucking call
they're
them?
taking a punt. And comedy is not, it's not a guaranteed,
Yeah.
falling off my seat laughing. I went and saw Michael McIntyre when I was like 19.
Well,
and
who's that?
Michael McIntyre?
Big comedian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big UK comedian.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who know Michael McIntyre won't be surprised by this, but I didn't find him funny.
Right. Okay.
And
Yeah.
he's a huge comedian. But like people were loving him. Like they're really enjoying themselves. And maybe he just wasn't for me.
Why is that?
He's got his audience, he's got his fan
Yeah.
base, he's very famous.
Right.
But I just didn't enjoy it. Maybe I was too young. Maybe it's for the older
Yeah. Right.
generation. But just because you're going to comedy doesn't mean it's for you.
Yeah.
And that's why it's always nice to go to these lineup shows during the comedy festival. Like the lineup shows, we run 10 for 10 at 10:10,
Yeah.
and that whole point of that show is you get to see 10 comedians. They give you a slice, a 5-minute slice of their comedy festival show, and at the end of the show, you pick who you enjoyed the most. Go and see their comedy festival show.
Yeah.
And those shows are very helpful if you're trying to work out who to see
Yeah,
and you don't
right.
know who to see.
Yeah.
Because you come into comedy and you're like, I don't know any of these
Yeah.
people.
No. Yeah,
And so
exactly.
everyone goes and sees, the big names at the comedy gala or whatever.
Yep. Yep.
And nobody knows what the rest of the shows are.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, the only reason I know any comics is because because of you guys.
yeah, exactly.
Because of Sean, because of Caleb.
Yeah.
And then I started.
Like Sean Collier. Sean Collier is a killer. Sean Collier is a killer. I love seeing Sean
his
do
first
comedy.
show, I went to his opening night this year, and it was hard, bro. It was really hard. The
A hard
crowd-
watch.
Yeah, the crowd wasn't up for it.
Yeah.
His MC bombed.
Oh, really?
And then Igor came on and basically bombed, which was the first half of the show. And
Yeah.
it was really tough.
And it's weird because it's like I remember being a comedy punter and just being like, oh, that person's not funny, that person is funny, and it's like they weren't funny that night.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean they're not funny.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I went to see Sean's show 3 times last year, just by chance. I was like, oh yeah, I know a guy who's playing around the corner with some friends. I had tickets for one show and another show. I was like, oh yeah, he's playing in 10 minutes. I'll go and watch again with my other mate. So 3 different nights, 3 different shows. Completely. One was hard. Another one absolutely killed. Another one was kind of in between the two. And I was like, wow, same guy, same material, totes different vibes.
Mm.
And you can just catch someone on that off night and be like, oh,
Yeah. Don't want to see them again.
yeah. And then someone goes, nah, they're a killer. And you're like, how?
Yeah.
Because we were there on the wrong night.
And your brain's lazy. Your brain just wants to kind of find the conclusion.
Yeah.
And when it comes to comedy, you got to see them enough times to find that.
Yeah. I feel like this has been more of a D&M than a podcast.
Yeah.
With
I'm leaving.
occasional
It
rant.
had to be.
Yeah. Well, that's what this podcast is turning into now. It's just more like I'm just chatting, shooting the shit with dudes. Mostly guys. I'm really struggling to get women on it. I just think maybe the setting doesn't feel safe or right for some people, but it's mostly guys that are just saying, yeah, let's go. And for my first 10 podcasts, like I think it was chicks.
Mm.
For like my first 20, it was mostly women, but now it's just dudes.
Mm.
Might have something to do with like I said, the setting, but I
Yeah.
don't know why that is.
Sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, it is a me problem. Yeah,
Pick your hard.
pick your heart. Well, exactly. I just like someone that I can go out and have beers with after we record. as well. Sometimes I just want to go. Let's go and smash a beers.
At
But I had
1 p.m.
well, I've got another recording at 2 today with Matt O'Neill.
Oh, I love Matt. Matt's great. He's another Pom.
Yeah, I noticed. What's that accent that he's got?
Northern.
Northern.
I think he's from Yorkshire or...
Yeah, right. Yeah, I love that accent.
Yeah, it's just very
It's
friendly.
a funny accent.
It's a funny accent,
Yeah.
but it's also very endearing.
Yeah. Yes, I've got some friends like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing that. But yeah, it's been really good, man. It's been great to have you on, and thanks for supporting, I guess, my
course,
show
brother.
as well.
Of course.
I
love this show.
I love that you love what I'm doing, and I love what you're doing too, and the path that you're on. It feels like you've got a lot more clarity around where you're going, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm taking that flight.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
Everything after that.
Ah,
We'll find out.
you just got to ride the momentum, and take a leaf out of what's his name, Goundry's book too, which just sounds like you kind of like it's a job.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it can. That's the thing about comedy; it can be fun. Yeah, it can be fun, and it should be fun. But also, like if you treat it like a business, like a commercial venture, sky's the limit.
Mm.
So. And then I've heard stories about like the Chappelles and that of like their parents were dropping them off at comedy rooms when they were 14, 15, 16. And I'm like, oh, dude, that's not a career. That's a life.
Yeah.
So how do you change it from like a side hustle to a life?
Yeah. And comedy, to even commit and not make money from comedy, it's a lifestyle choice.
Mm. Yeah.
It'd be nice if it was a profitable one.
Yeah. Please. You're talking to the guy that does the podcast in the laneway
Yeah,
for
yeah.
shits and gigs.
I love it.
But no, it's been good, man. So drop us your handles again. Where can people catch you? Where can they follow?
Tom Stanimeros, Stanimeros, on Instagram. Don't follow me on Facebook.
Oh, why not? You don't like Zuck?
It's just a personal account. I don't really use Facebook. I should.
Instagram, TikTok? Do you do TikToks?
I used to do sketches, but not anymore.
Yeah. And
I'll
YouTube?
I'll get funnier and I'll start posting some stuff.
What about? Oh, yeah. We talked about this last time. Sometimes you just have to just do.
Mm-hmm. I hear ya.
I know.
But yeah, I'm the only Tom Stanimeros on the planet, apparently.
Really?
There's only 9 Stanimeroses in the world.
I could see
7 of them are my family, and 2 of them are distant cousins in Greece that we tracked down.
Right. Stanimeros.
Stanimeros.
I wonder what happened to them. Sort of died in some
it was
war.
yeah, I think the name ended with my. It was a family. My yaya, my gran, my Greek granny, all daughters. Yeah, there you go. And my dad changed his name back to Stanimeros.
He changed his name back.
Yeah, my dad's had his name changed a couple of times, but he changed his name back to Stanimeros. And now our family is Stanimeros.
Right. Okay. There you go.
So there you go.
So he wants to keep those bloodlines alive,
Mm-hmm.
or the name, so to speak.
Yeah. I was gonna be. It was a choice between Stanimeros or Porpatoglu.
Not a hard choice.
Not a hard choice. Porpatoglu's a fat man's name.
Sounds like something you step in. Someone's got to clean off your shoe with a leaf.
Yeah. At house cricket. Beautiful stuff.
Oh, good, man. Oh, that's so funny. Well, good. Listen, man, it's been so good to have you on again. I appreciate you coming out here and doing this one last time before you take off. And I might not see you again for a long time.
For a long time, but definitely again.
I'll have to fly out to Manchester at some point, the worst airport in the world. No, I'm joking. I'm just taking the piss. You just got to get there 16 hours early to make sure you make your flight.
Episode Soiss on Neuf.
Soiss on Neuf. Oh, checking it out. Do you want to clap it out?
Yeah, I do.
Clap it out.
So
Show
did you
me how
know
to-
in the film industry?
Yeah, please,
Um,
let's cover this.
I
once
mean,
and for
I know
all.
you clapped it at the start.
Yeah.
But if you do an end slate,
Yeah, what does that mean?
an end slate is when you clap at the end of a shot. Sometimes shots in movies,
Yeah.
like they need to set up the shot and they aren't able to like get the clapperboard into the shot because it's too tight or whatever.
Right.
Like maybe like that, like shooting under a car.
There's a sex
So at the end of
scene.
the shot,
Yeah.
instead of cutting, they won't shout cut. They'll shout end slate, and then the camera will come out, and they go to the clapper loader is the
Right.
person who claps the board, and they do it upside down.
Oh, upside down.
And they go, scene one, take one, on the end, and they do that.
Wow, that's very technical. Wow, I've learnt something today.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's your end slate.
Thank
This
you.
has been Lui Diaz Podcast, episode Soiss on Neuf with Tom Stanimeros on the end.
The British Australian comedian speaking French with the Greek surname. This is an international podcast, people. Thank you very much. It's been great having you.
Pow.
Oh, awesome, bro. Awesome.